Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
The tax affairs of many wealthy Britons are coming under scrutiny in the wake of the revelations in the leaked documents from a Panama-based law firm. Among the confidential papers are references to how the gold bullion stolen at Heathrow in the notorious Brinksmat robbery of 1983 were laundered. The names of prominent Britons, including David Cameron's father, are listed as clients of Mossack Fonseca, the firm in Panama. Our special correspondent, Richard Bilton, reports.
It is one of the UK's most notorious crimes.
Britain's biggest ever robbery. Gold bars worth £30 million are stolen near Heathrow Airport.
Now we know Mossack Fonseca helped in the laundering of proceeds. In 1983, a violent gang attacked security guards at the Brinksmat warehouse. They escaped with 3 tons of gold.
When were you last down here then?
About 1987, I would think. Long time ago now.
So when you were watching...
Former detective Billy Miller's job was to find the money. Some of it had been spent on property, like this place in Kent. The robbers used a Panamanian company set up by Mossack Fonseca. This memo shows they later learned they were working on the proceeds of the famous robbery at Brinksmat in London.
Well, once they knew that it was from the Brinksmat gold bullion robbery, they should have washed their hands of it and should have known what to do with it, so it makes them as bad.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you.
The files show the Prime Minister's late father also set up an investment company through Mossack Fonseca in the 1980s. Ian Cameron and other directors would fly to the Bahamas for board meetings so they could say the company was run offshore. We've learned it never paid UK tax. And the files show investors held their stakes through bearer shares. They were widely used at the time but are now banned in many countries because they can be used for money laundering and tax evasion.
Bearer share is a piece of paper saying that you own a share of a company, which means that you can hide your ownership of bearer shares. And when it comes to declaring what assets, what wealth you have, what income you have, it really leaves it just to you and your conscience.
The files also show how offshore can be used to avoid tax on property, but there are strict rules. 100,000 homes in the UK are owned by offshore companies. Nick Haig owned one of them in North London. He sold it and made almost £1 million. But did he tell the taxman? Mr. Haig told us his offshore company fully complied with HMRC legislation in 2014 in relation to the disposal of this property.
But is that the full story, or is it really about sleight of hand? That Mr. Haig is trying to look like his offshore company is in charge, when really it's him?
This document gives him the power to manage his offshore company without limitation. So has he been managing it from here?
Hiya, I'm Richard Bilton from BBC Panorama.
I caught up with him to ask.
That property in North London, you must have made about £1 million on that. Did you tell the taxman about that?
Richard, you've had my answer via email.
Yeah, but these are such...
Okay, Richard, I've given you my answer.
What is that then? Does the taxman know about that money? He should know, shouldn't he?
Are you deaf?
I'm not deaf, but I'm interested to know. No, there's no problem with me.
Listen,
I'm just trying to get straight answers from you, and that's
Richard,
proving a bit more difficult, to be honest.
No, Richard, with all due respect, I gave you my answer via email.
Yeah.
You've had it.
Yes.
I made my position clear.
Right.
And that's all I've got to say.
I know, but there are some problems with that.
You've got to stop laughing, okay?
I'm interested. These are serious issues. I'm smiling because you are having a go at me,
listen,
but I'm interested
Richard,
to know what you think.
I'm armed with a baguette, okay? So I'm not having a go at you.
Mossack Fonseca say the services they provide are commonly used worldwide. They are responsible members of the global financial and business community. Through the Panama Papers, the world is able to see what offshore is all about. Richard Bilton, BBC News.
Well, these leaked documents appear to provide an unprecedented glimpse into the world of offshore finance. But how does it really operate and what can be done to tackle abuses? Here's our economics editor, Kamal Ahmed. Kamal.
Thanks very much, George. Well, it's certainly true that the operation of tax havens is complicated and shrouded in a degree of mystery. There are two major qualifications for being a tax haven. That's a country that operates a set of tax rules attractive to wealthy individuals and businesses. First, the rate of income tax and business taxes are low or zero, and the wealthy are guaranteed a cloak of secrecy they would not receive in their home country. Tax haven information is often not shared. Now, this does not mean the operation of tax havens in places like the Caribbean is wrong. It is a long-held principle of tax law that our tax affairs are private.
Everybody is entitled to confidentiality in their tax affairs, and that's a right that we have to preserve. But at the same time, we need to strike a balance between that and making those that abuse the system pay what they owe. And the problem is that many tax havens are used to create structures that allow people to hide their assets so that they don't pay the right amount of tax.
Why does it matter? Well, it is estimated that the UK tax authorities could be losing up to £7.2 billion a year from tax avoidance and evasion. That's just under 10% of the whole UK education budget. Tax havens have also been used to cover up criminal activity. Since 2009, there have been many attempts to crack down on abuses. More than 700 tax transparency deals have been signed globally. Places like Switzerland, the Channel Islands and Luxembourg have tightened the rules, but countries like Panama and the British Virgin Islands have been criticised for not doing enough.
Panama has refused to commit to automatic exchange of information. They've dragged their feet on exchange of information on request. They have not signed the multilateral convention, offering themselves as the place of the ultimate secrecy. And therefore, it's no surprise that you have a concentration of bad business there today.
Now, whether it's members of the Chinese Politburo or global business leaders, tax avoidance and evasion will be targeted at a major summit next month. In the chair will be David Cameron, who will announce new rules to make it easier to trace avoiders in the future. But as the Panama Papers reveal, however many rules you pass, there are rich and wealthy people trying to evade them. George.
Kamal, thank you very much.
I've been getting away with it all.